Over time, I've learned to use model calls strategically, and that is the difference between success and not so much. If you're new here, hi, I'm Stine. I'm a photographer and a creative business owner with more than 15 years experience. I've done a lot of model calls in my time. Some of them have brought more than $12,000 in just one single month. Let's first talk about the 4 best times to use a model call. The first is if you're launching a new sort of style. You know, if you're trying to expand your portfolio a little bit, you're just trying something new that you don't usually shoot or shoot in a different way, it's a great time to do this. If you have a new set, if you have a studio, completely new service, if we're going from weddings to portraits, boudoir, something similar. A lot of people do model calls if they have new props, neon lights, smoke machines, things like that. Because if you're introducing something new, it's just like such an obvious way to use model calls. Just a really good way to transition from one thing to another. Now, the second way is if you need fresh portfolio content that's a bit more aligned with your brand. If you know, brands evolve over time, and yes, you have a style, but even as photographers, especially as creatives, we also evolve over time and how we shoot change. Some people go from being exclusively natural light photographers and suddenly they want to start exploring artificial light. I actually did that, so that's a really good way to do that too. When I had my first home studio, that was in 2016, I moved into this apartment underneath someone's house and it had a massive living area, and I turned it into a studio, so I had no living room for a few years. And I did 2 days with 3 women, and that's how I built, I did 2 session days with 3 women. And that's how I built my portrait portfolio, because before that, I did weddings, events, birthday parties, christenings. I did that whole thing, and I so wanted to get out of that. I just wanted to work from home. You know, just those 6 shoots, that's how I built my first part of my portrait portfolio, and I did a model call for it. That's when I went from not being able to charge $150 for a portrait session to charging $150 per image. Over the years, I built on that idea. And not long after, I did my Becoming 30s campaign, which was just like an expansion on that. Another example is when I had my son in 2018, I rebranded and I pivoted because I had my son, and not long after, a year and a half later, the pandemic hit. And at that time, I was a portrait photographer. I signed a lease to my new studio 2 weeks before our first lockdown here in Australia. And to say that it put a spanner in the works is like an understatement. I was paying rent on a studio for like months and months and months without any income. And a toddler, by the way. Being a solo mom as well, it didn't help. So just before Christmas, I pivoted like this into branding photography, and I closed my studio, and I was like, I need clients straight away. And I was like, oh, hang on, I did campaigns, model call campaigns back then. Let's try it. So I did. So in a matter of a couple of days, I wrote a whole new campaign, call outs, landing pages, and I had an email list of my previous clients, and I sent it all out into the internet, and boom, I had 2 bookings straight away. I think I charged about $1,650 per shoot, and they got like something like 20 photos. I didn't even have a new website or anything. I just used whatever I had before. And that's a big lesson here. You don't have to have a complete new website or anything set up to change genres and do model calls. Not at all. But I used the model calls to change genre from literally overnight. The proof is in the pudding. I followed exactly the same process. And, I wasn't looking to be fully booked straight away because I was still, a mum to a toddler. I was by myself. And so I only had very limited time to shoot. And, that's another really good lesson here. Good point is that fully booked means different things to different people. And to me, it was a couple of shoots a month. So at that point anyway, so a bit of a wake up call for me that I was kind of sitting on something here that really actually worked. And anyone could take this method and turn it into something that would work for themselves. Okay, so the third way to use model calls that are quite effective is if you're entering a new market, say you're moving from one place to another place, like from one city to another. It's just a really great way to introduce yourself to the local community. I also know of several photographers overseas who have moved countries. I think a Swedish photographer went from the US back to Sweden, and I see her doing campaigns all the time on Facebook. And another one also from the US back to Germany, and she did it as well. She had to rebuild her entire studio back in Germany, and she did that. And she's a raving success. Like, she's got a massive studio and she earns, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Okay, let's move on to the fourth way to use model calls, and that's creating something bigger than yourself in meaningful campaigns. So that's kind of what I was doing a lot. My Becoming 30s and 40s campaigns celebrated milestones, but you can celebrate other things, you know. And I focused a lot on mental health because that's something that's dear and close to my heart. And it really created an emotional connection as well. The key here is that to make campaigns that are authentic, I hate that word, but I don't know what else to call it, and true to you. This is going to be a longer video, I can see. So I just want to talk a little bit about when not to use a model call. We don't want to run them randomly or like out of desperation. They need to be purposeful and intentional. They need to be well planned out. You know, example, getting to November and realizing that, oh, I have to do Christmas shoots because that's what we do this time of year. And then just throwing something up on Facebook, free sessions, you know, just buy products. Each, you know, image after is $250, $150, whatever. Randomly is not a good idea. You want to create urgency, yes, but not this way. And free sessions, free shoots, you're just going to attract the wrong people. And if you say free anywhere in your copy ever, anywhere, it will stick in people's head. And as soon as you try to then sell them something, you created a friction point there. They're not going to buy anything. Any price you tell them on anything is going to sound really expensive to them. It doesn't matter if it's $10 or $100, like it's not going to compute. So, all right, the next thing I want to talk about is how to make a campaign cover a year's worth of sessions. So this really comes into planning out your year and planning all your campaigns on model calls in one go, or at least have a loose idea of what you want to do throughout the year. Because if you plan like 2 to 3 campaigns throughout the year, you can fill your calendar quite easily. The beauty of the paid model call method is that once you've done it a few times, you build momentum and it compounds. You've got the contacts of all these people that you obviously will keep in an email list. We're going to talk about this another time. And every time you make a new campaign, of course, you're going to let everyone know about it. And because you're going to be doing different types of campaigns throughout every year, they're going to want to be part of it. This is exactly what happened to me when I did the Becoming 30s campaign. They were all on my email list. And when I did the Becoming 40s, I had people coming back doing it again. A very similar campaign with slightly different intention and purpose behind it. Got clients that I've shot 3 to 4 times within a period of like a couple of years. And we're talking $2,500, $3,000, $3,500 sales each time. So one client can, you know, be worth thousands and thousands of dollars. This is why it's so powerful, and I'm super excited to share all this with you. Now that you know when to do them and when not to, the next video we're going to break down how to structure it all and, you know, how to sell it without feeling pushy and get clients to get excited with you. And again, if you want to start now, you can download the free starter kit down below. See you in the next one.